Hello, this is Linda Urquhart, and I'm going to give you a short tour of the website of the Essex County branch of Ontario Ancestors. The first thing you can see is that you can choose between English or French, depending on your choice of language. And at the top here, you can see a number of links. The first one is to the various home pages. There's the welcome page. It gives you information about awards. You can see the blogs that are been available, information about the newsletter, and information on how to contact us. In the research services and projects section, you can find out what research services we offer and the cost for these services. You can fill out a research request, and you can review information about the yearbook scanning project. Under resources, I'll come back to that later. Under membership, it'll take you to a screen which will explain to you how to become a member. You do have to be a member of the Ontario Ancestors in order to become a member of the Essex County branch of Ontario Ancestors. And there's a marketplace, which will take you to another site where the Essex Marketplace is held. I'll go into that later as well. I will go into the members library later. There's a news section, which does give information about what's happening locally, as well as giving you the monthly updates. And the events tab would take you to the various events that are upcoming. But first, I want to take a look at what's here in the middle. These are what we call our featured resources, and they change regularly during the year. The first one is our publication indexes. This basically will be changed to a master index when we are able to put all our indexes together into one huge index. The Essex branch presentation, the very one that's coming up, is always indicated here. And if you go down further, you'll see read more will take you to more information about the event that's coming up, who the presenter is, a little information about the presenter, and you will click here to register so that you are ready to join the session when it's time. The third one is just something, whatever's happening recently within the society. And the third one, the fourth one, I should say, is the featured resource taken from the members library. So the members library has a number of resources which are restricted to people who are members of the Essex branch. But monthly, we take something out of that library and we present it to the public so that you can get an idea of what's offered in the members library. So going back to the resources section, and these are all of these are available to the public. So public resources will give you information about free online resources. It will give you information about subscription websites or pay-per-view websites, as well as libraries, museums, and other organizations. If you click on any of these links, it will take you directly to their website. The County Atlas Index was a project done by the University of Montreal. What we have here is an index to the Essex County branch of that project. And what you can do is you can do a search. I will search for Ream. And you can see there's a number of Reams that come up. If I'm interested in this one, Thomas Ream, I would click here and it gives me information it takes me actually to the link to the University of Montreal site. And it shows that Thomas Ream, was born in Essex County. He's a farmer. He settled there in 1849 in the township of Anderton. And this atlas is from 1881. He's in a concession 1, lot 18, and his lot size is 50 acres. You can then locate him on the map, and you can see in the big map of Essex County that he is located right on the far west side of Essex County, sort of in the middle there. And if you move this around a little bit, you can get a little bit of picture of what was near him. For example, he had an Indian burial ground right across from him. So it's a good site to give you information about where your ancestor lived at one time. If I go back now to the resources, the Windsor Grove Cemetery Index is next. And this is an index made up of information that we obtained at the cemetery office of the burials. So if you do a search, I'll search on Wilson. And what it does, it will give me any record that has the word Wilson either in the surname or the given name. It gives me an idea of when they were born and when they died, so that you can be sure you've got the right person. And all it's going to tell you is that that person is buried in Windsor Grove. If you go into the members library section, the same index is located there, but you can open up more information and see what was written on the headstone and any other information that might be of interest, including the location in the cemetery. And we have the Heavenly Rest Cemetery Index. Again, it's a matter of doing a search. I've already done a search on Urquhart, and you can see that Edward C. Urquhart, who is my father-in-law, and Edward Jr. Urquhart, who was my brother-in-law, are buried in the St. Joan of Arc section of the cemetery. And then Mercy Township surnames. This was prepared by a gentleman associated with the branch, and he basically has his name is George Setterington, and he has gone through many of the surnames that were common in Mercy Township. And if you wanted to look at what he's developed, first it takes you to this page, which is called the Ontario Families page. And first you have to create your account. And when you log into that account, it takes you to Mr. Setterington's information. And for example, if you wanted to look at one of these, there's an Amos Abbott, for example, and it shows information that George has researched about him. So his birth, his death, the name of his father and his mother, the name of his spouse, and in some cases, you'll also see information about descendants or ancestors, as well as many other very interesting information that George has provided. The publication indexes, again, you can get that in the featured resources, but what it shows you is a group of categories of where the indexes are. So you basically would have to look at each one of these sections to determine if your ancestor is included. So the cemetery indexes gives you a couple of folders as to what's involved in here. All the cemeteries are included in this except for Heavenly Rest, whereas Heavenly Rest has its own. And to open these folders, you then would click on whatever file is interesting to you. And in all cases, everything's going to be the same whenever you go to any of these. The documents are going to be shown to you in this format. What you do first is, what I would suggest you do first is to zoom so that you can read the file better. And you can make it a full size by clicking on that little square. So for example, this would be an index for the cemetery other or included in Heavenly Rest. For example, Hector Droulard is in St. John the Baptist section on page 30. So you would know that you would go into the members library, look up that section of Heavenly Rest and go to page 30, and you would find information about his burial. The next one is the Trails Index. Trails is the newsletter, which was published by the Essex branch from 1980 to 2021. And for example, if you wanted to take a look at any of these, if you looked at Dave Abbott, for example, information about him is found in the 2010 publication, which is considered to be volume 32. The issue number is 1 and 2 because those two issues were combined in that year. And the page number where you would find the information about is on page 5. Again, you would need this information to be able to then go into the members library, find that volume, go to that page number, and you can see what has been said or included about Mr. Abbott. There's a British Home Children Index. This information was taken from the Library and Archives Canada website. A search was done using the keywords from Essex County, various towns, townships. And then information was researched about each of these individuals. But in the index page, all you're going to find is the name of whether or not your ancestor is included. And if they are included, you could then go into the members library and you would be able to view much more information about the individuals. The research team researched these people to determine if they could find the name of their parents, the name of the people that took them in when they were in Ontario, where they could be found in the censuses, whether they got married, whether they had children, and if they were now deceased, that information was already provided. But again, that's in the members library. The next one is Black population in Windsor from the 1861 and 1864 censuses. The 1861 census was Canadian-wide, but the 1864 census is just Windsor. So this gives you the names of the people identified with Black ancestry in those censuses. And for example, I'll go to George Addison. And all you're going to see here is where they were located if it was a 1964 census, other than the age and the ward number where they were, it also gives you the street where they were located. And as far as the birth in this 1861 census, it would only say United States, but in the 1864 census, they asked them what state they were from. And therefore, very good information is found there. What's happening now is that all of these individuals are being researched to determine what happened to them, whether or not they stayed in Canada, and if they did, where did they stay and how long did they stay? Did they get married? Did they have children? That type of thing. Same thing, we would look for them if they returned to the United States and what happened to them there. That research isn't completed yet. Hopefully it will be done by the end of the year. At the end of next year, actually. And the last one on this resource tab is the Essex Branch Library Catalog. So if you are looking for information, whether or not the library has information, for example, I've done a search on Assumption to see what we have in the library, and what this is going to give me is anywhere the word Assumption appears in either the call number or the title or even the author. It will also give you the location of where you can find whatever the publication is, and you can see some of them are missing, which is unfortunate, but at times this happens. So for example, WPL Local History means that they are located in the Windsor Public Library, which is the local history branch, which is on Sandwich, just across the street from St. Joseph's or St. John's Church. So the Ambassador, which is the yearbook from 1948, is in the library. However, the Assumption College yearbooks from 21 through to 69 are online only. And this is because with the yearbook project, we scanned yearbooks that were either donated to the branch or they were just borrowed by the branch. And those that were borrowed were returned to the owner. So the information, the scanned information is online only. But we did receive some donations from books such as Harrow High School, and they can be found both online as well as in the library. So continuing on then, I mentioned about the marketplace. When you click on that, it takes you to the Ontario Ancestors website, but will take you directly to the Essex Branch marketplace. So for example, everything is categorized under either books, cemeteries, census, church records, early settlers, newspapers, obituaries, schools, whatever. And for example, if you were interested in purchasing some church records, they are then listed in somewhat alphabetical order. And you can see the prices there. If you wanted more information about what you're about to purchase, when you click on the information, it brings, you can add it to, gives you the price, and you can add it to your cart to purchase. But before you do so, it does give you a little information about where this information is coming from and what years are included. So you might want to take a look at that before you actually purchased the document. And then members library. If you click on this and you are not signed in as a member, it will just give you an unauthorized message. saying that, you know, you do have to be a member, or if you've forgotten to sign in, do so now. And if you do that, right, you will then be taken immediately to the members library. Your login is your email address plus the password that you were given when you joined the Ontario Ancestors. And this again is presented by the various categories. And I'm not going to go into many of these because it's just too much to go through at one time. But as long as you know how to use this, then it should be easy, no matter which one of these you go into. So I'm gone into church histories. It gives you information about what you're about to see. It also gives you information about, or instructions on how to proceed. They do say for you to allow any file that you choose to upload completely so that you can zoom in for a better read. And if the file is large, this can take a few minutes. And in most cases, if you zoom to 100% or window width, you'll get the best result. So I'll just give you an example of that. So we're into the church histories. And if you know the church you're interested in is in Windsor Sandwich, you can click on that. And it'll take you to the various files that are included in this section. I'm going to go to Sacred Heart Church. Again, I'm going to wait until it completely downloads. You can see the little circle moving, which shows you that it's still downloading. You shouldn't do anything until that's finished. Normally it doesn't take this long. I must have too many other things going on. Okay, I'll zoom in to window width. It's much easier to read that way. And if I knew a person I was looking for, I would do that. But in most cases, it's just a matter of looking at what's available. So that's a church history. If I wanted to look at some family histories, again, there's a little information about what's included, more instructions as to how to open it. And the families are listed based on the first letter of their surname. So I'll go into the use because there's not too many. There's actually only one. And this, again, I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to zoom in to read it better. And this is something that was presented by the descendants of these Urquharts. So you can take a look at all the different families that might be included. And if you're searching for an actual name of somebody that might be included in the Urquharts, for example, I'll put in Droulard. Then it will take me to the Droulards. I'm at the 45th entry of the name Droulard, and there are 80 of the Droulard names mentioned. So you can see what's included. When you get out of a file, you can go to the previous folder. And as you know, I was in the family histories. Otherwise, I just go right back to the members only and look at some more. So for example, schools, the categories of what we include in schools are some school records and histories. There's a few of those. And there's the yearbook project, which is very popular. If I open that, I can see all the different names of the schools that we have yearbooks from. If I go into Herman and go to 6364, again, I'm going to wait for it to load. Then I'm going to zoom to window width. I'm going to do a search for Lang. And it takes me directly to this first, which is Linda Lang. And it tells me that next year she is going to the University of Windsor. Her occupation, a chalk peddler, no idea what that's referring to. And her pet peeve, getting to school before 8:57 a.m. And her favorite saying, did you watch? Which was referring to TV shows. There are 4, though, entries of Lang. So I'll look to see if there's others. And there's the tennis team with Linda Lang. And tennis champions. Again. And a little bit of write-up about Linda Lang's tennis accomplishments. So that's a great resource for finding out about your ancestors, what they were doing in high school. So I think you get the idea of how to use the website. Hopefully you get the idea. And if you have any questions or concerns, always feel free to contact the Essex webmaster at OGS-ONT.ca. And with that, I'll say goodbye.